Alright, I am back with another Last Epoch video. Wasn't sure when I was going to keep making these, when it was worth making them, but I am heading out of town tomorrow and I wanted to make sure to get some more thoughts in. I don't know if I'll still be playing when I get back, we'll see what's going on, probably, but I wanted to talk a little bit more about my experience having moved into the endgame here. I am playing live here. Now that I've really reached the end game, or at least some part of the end game, I have a level 81 Void Knight, and I am starting to, I don't know, sort of perfect this build, but just a little bit what I did here. This is the Void Cleave Erasing Strike build, where you slash people with this, blow them up with this, and then you have some like passive bonuses through Anomaly and Sigils of Hope, and then you can dash around if you need to with Lunge. Pretty straightforward build. It's a very strong build. It's definitely not like the strongest in the game. I think that's still the Falconer build that is destroying everything, but this is also destroying everything. What I've kind of scaled up here, I have this kind of normal chest where it gives bonus to Erasing Strike and more void damage. This sword has 80 melee void damage, more physical damage, shred armor, and frailty. Frailty makes enemies do less damage. Decayed Skull has 80% increased void damage by itself. That's kind of all you need here. The Brass Amulet of Hope has a ton of void penetration, bunch of resistance. This ring is more void resistance, mana regen, critical strike. My normal belt here, sometimes I swap this out, more mana regen, more physical damage, more necrotic resistance. This has even more void resistance, which I think I'm over the cap now and I can probably change this, but it has more void damage and some health. These gloves, I'm still looking for better gloves. Sometimes I swap them out depending on what resistances I need, but this has critical strike chance, health regen, cold resist. These boots have fire resist. These aren't really my main boots. I usually use these for more movement speed, but depending on what I'm running, I just did a whole map where it was a lot of fire resisting things, so I have these on. My Chalice has mana regen and a ton of health regeneration, just an absurd amount. And then my idols and stuff, it's a lot of void damage and melee void damage. It's a lot of void damage. So you kind of see where I'm going with this. I have some alternate things I can swap out. This has void penetration, critical strike chance. This has lots of increased void damage. This ring is kind of interesting. It's void leeching and void penetration with applying doom. But these are kind of my main ones here, and they have been working for me really well. So I am, as you might expect, working my way through the Monoliths here with the occasional dungeon. I've gone through all of these at least once. I am currently, where am I? I'm in the Age of Winter. So head over there. These are the level 90 ones, which you would think would, be really hard. But what I'm finding about this game is, like, it's not very well balanced. I mean, maybe some of this is my build, but, like, I keep finding... what should I be going for here? I'll get a arena key. Why not? What I'm finding is that the actual kind of maps for mob clearing are easy to the point where it's just sort of goofy how easy they are. I think I've died maybe 2 or 3 times in like many versions of these maps. You do like 15, 16, 20 of these maps per run of a monolith, and then you get to a boss. I am stuck for some reason. That may have been lag, I'm not sure, but like it's just overwhelmingly not at all really a problem to kill things that are, what is this, 9 levels above me right now. I take some damage, but I have crazy regen. I have a lot of solid resistances, and this just isn't very difficult. Not to say it's not still fun to some extent. I guess I gotta go down here. But like it's so mindless with mob clearing to the point where like I just, what am I trying to find here for like my better build when this is kind of the content? And like this is true at least for the mob clearing part of dungeons too. And maybe there's more. I know you can get like corrupted versions of maps and stuff, so maybe that's where I'm heading to here. But it's just like I keep like, oh, can I do level 90 stuff? Like, can I really do this at this low a level? And it's like, yeah, obviously you can. This is not difficult at all. The exception here Sometimes some mini bosses can give you a little bit of trouble, but not really. I mean, they're dead. That was like a little tiny boss that I'm supposed to kill. Some of the ones with the percent health are a little tougher, but generally speaking, no. The exception here are bosses, and this is where the game is just so weirdly balanced. I wrote an article about this where it's like you can be just cruising through these maps like super easily, and then almost every final boss you get to will have some sort of like one hit destroy you mechanic that you can't, like, you can avoid it but you can't tank it. Like almost exclusively you will keep running into these bosses where it doesn't even matter if your resistances are capped. Like, you know what type of damage they're doing to you, but they will just auto kill you if you make kind of one wrong move. This reminds me a lot of the Uber Lilith fight in Diablo, where everyone complains that the only reason that that's like really a hard fight is because she has the ability to just one-shot you, anytime you make a wrong move. So it's just a lot of dancing around. And that's what I feel about these fights too. Like, it's just, the main point of the fight is you're just dodging those moves in order to avoid being one-shot. And the strategy, in addition to just learning the moves and dodging them, is that you just get your DPS high enough so the fight lasts less time. So you have to do less dodging. So that's sort of what I've been doing with just getting like massive amounts of damage on this Void build, which has been working pretty well. But before I did that, it was pretty frustrating just because you had to just dodge and dodge and dodge and dodge. And like some classes, it's easier than others. Like I have a lunge move here, but that's not really, a great guarantee, because you have to dash to an enemy. So it's just not really, I got 2 arena keys. It's just not really a guaranteed way to dodge things. So like you just sort of have to up your movement speed and just hope you can slowly walk out of these different situations. I kind of want more move speed on. I might put my other boots back on. I'm losing my fire resist, but whatever. Oh, now I'm a little faster. Okay. Now I go to the next thing. What is this? Idols. I have too many idols. Arena key. I'm kind of just going for XP right now. Oh, I can do this one where you reveal all nearby echoes, so you can see if there's like set items or uniques or whatever. I'll talk about that in a minute. The boss issue, the worst issue with the bosses is what happens when you play like dungeons or the arena, where those dungeons, if you die, you lose. You are booted out of the dungeon. Instead of being booted out, I often just get straight up disconnected, which seems to be a bug, but like it kind of accomplishes the same thing. The problem with that is it's fine like for the normal enemies. Like it's pretty, some of those are harder than the maps here, but generally speaking, you can, if you're cruising through level 90 stuff, you're going to be able to get through what is often kind of lower level stuff in the dungeons. However, it's the same thing with the bosses. So you'll get to a final boss, and like unless you've really fought that boss before and understand the fight, again, if you die to one of those one-shot moves, like it's just over. The whole thing is just over. And I've had a number of those where before I even know what's happening, I'm just like pretty dead. And I get one shot within the first 5 seconds of the fight because I don't understand what AoE attack I'm about to run into. So you just have to sort of like sprint away as fast as humanly possible from the boss in order to like kind of learn the mechanics. But again, like a lot of these boss fights, like you need a couple of tries to like learn the mechanics. So what happens in these should pick up these idols. Doom. All right, that one's void damage. Please get out of here. Warpath area, armor. I'm running out of like storage, so I don't know. I'm not going to pick up everything now. I'm probably, how big's my, I still got some room. So those boss fights end up being really frustrating, and I wrote about this, but like this has been a problem for a long time, and a lot of people have been complaining about this sort of indefinitely, which does not seem great. It doesn't seem like they're really taking feedback on this, which is a shame, and I think it's a pretty significant problem with the game. One thing I'm also noticing is that loot is pretty weird here. Let me go get this other Shrine just to see what it is. Oh, grid XP. So that's one thing I'm trying to get is more XP. Is I think the max is 100. I'm assuming. So shrines like that I'm gonna get. One thing I'm noticing is that set items and uniques are not great, and I find myself like barely using any of them in favor of these kind of exalted items with big boosted stats. The problem with a lot of these items is like, yeah, they're meant to work in synergy with some like really, really specific builds and abilities, which is fine, except like for my specific build, there's probably what, like one, two, three uniques out of the entire giant pool that may be applicable to this, and they still may not be better than the exalteds I'm currently using. This is also true of sets. Like I found a lot of set items. I don't think I found any that are remotely related to my build. So this idea of like, oh, unique dropped, oh, a set item drop. It's like I'm more excited about like a random exalted that has like the stats I want in a particular place. Like that's what is more important. And like eventually, yes, you can start combining uniques with exalteds to make legendaries. But again, I don't really know what. Yeah, I haven't found too many uniques where like that's valuable, because if I pick one thing, I'm losing like mana regen or health regen or resistance or something, because so many of these uniques are. Let's find some of my recent ones. Yeah, so many stash tabs. Where's the one I'm compiling? Idols. It's like they have. Yeah, this is a set item, and like they have some properties, but like they're not as good as exalteds. And sometimes I'm like, oh, this is like, look at this thing. This is awesome. Melee void damage, increased void damage, void resist, void damage leech. And I'm like, okay, this is like going to be finally a unique that's going to be really good for my build. And it's a two-handed spear, and I can't use that with void cleave because that's only two-handed swords or axes. There's just so many of these where like it might be very, very applicable to a very, very niche build, but I have found dozens and dozens and dozens of these. And like I'm not only using one unique in this build right now, and it feels like I've tried and they just get a lot worse. Meanwhile, I'm saving kind of every exalted possible. Am I out of room again? Do I gotta buy another stash tab? Yeah, these are getting really expensive. I eventually I'm gonna have to go through those and just sort through the ones I don't need. But those are the most valuable things you can get right now, and I just don't, know what else I'm supposed to really be going for. So melee attack speed, ignite on hits, melee lightning damage, melee damage leases health, chance to apply frailty, melee critical strike chance, increase melee speed, 78% increased void damage. Okay, well, that's one I am going to consider, even though that's losing a good amount of mana regen and my resists, and it only has 3 affixes, not 4. I don't know. We'll see. I'll try it. And then some dodge rating gloves, which will not apply to me. Lightning damage with hammer throw, that doesn't really apply to me, so I probably have better idols than that. Throwing damage amulets, fire damage amulets. Don't really need these. Where's my idol tab? I should probably label these. Okay, so maybe I'll try that one, but like you kind of see the point here. And I'm just not really sure what is motivating me to keep going here. I kind of, I want to beat the last. This is like I have 2 level 90 things to go, and I'm not 100% sure what happens after that, but like it's just this really weird balance of cakewalking through almost every single map thing here, and then getting to these bosses that they are getting increasingly easy because my builds is getting like kind of increasingly nuts, but the dungeons, it ends up being kind of a coin flip whether you can avoid getting one shot by the boss immediately before you know the mechanics. Some of them are working, but like there's one dungeon where that's the one where you make legendaries, and I just don't really know what legendary I'm even trying to go for here. Like my build is extremely strong, and I don't really kind of get what I should be doing with that. Where's the legendary I crafted? Somewhere here. Yeah, this is okay. This is one I crafted just to like check it out, but again, so I combined a 4 affix thing with these have to have legendary potential. It's like a little, yeah, see, it says legendary potential there. You can only turn uniques that have that into legendaries. But like this one, I just don't, it's not really good. Like, if it's a companion based thing, but like 5 health gain on hit, 25% physical damage, and a 66. This is way worse than like anything I'm using. And like maybe I did the wrong thing with the wrong thing, and there's much. I'm sure there's much better legendaries I can make, but like again, I have not found anything remotely better than this sword. And like I did the forge crafting on it. It gave me what did I think I could put the frailty thing on it, which helps. And like I do that with usually like my top things I get, but like sometimes it doesn't work. Like I put lightning damage on this by accident instead of the other one. So I'm still not like even 100% sure how to do crafting really well, but so like I'm sort of just going and trying to find maybe a exalted gloves and shoes and plates and something that is better than these, even though these are serving my build pretty well, as you can see. Um, Again, maybe there's like more really, really challenging stuff in the end game past here. I just don't really know what that is. And if the hardest stuff in the game is dungeons solely because of the bosses that one-shot you, that doesn't seem very engaging to me, and I would prefer that just to not really exist. I don't think you can have one-shot bosses in a dungeon where it's not only that you lose all your progress in the dungeon, it's that it requires these keys, which are pretty rare drops. I've built up a good amount of them by now because I've been running a ton of monoliths, but like, you also lose like your entry fee. Plus, I've been disconnected a few times in the middle of a dungeon, and then you also lose your progress and your entry key. So it's a little bit of a back and forth here. Like I have enjoyed building up this build and getting really strong. It's just that now I'm so strong, it's like I don't really know what to do. I don't know what loot I'm really pursuing. I probably need to clear out all of the crap here. Like I was saving this because I was going to make a bunch of different characters and like use some of this stuff that may not apply to me and other characters, but like unless they kind of like if this is what the game ends up being, I don't know how much more I want to play with other classes. Like I'll probably experiment with a couple more, but it is really weird because this game has been in like alpha and whatever testing for a long time, and if they haven't like figured out the kind of balance thing now, I don't, that seems like a pretty obvious issue, and if they haven't fixed it by now to some degree, like I'm not sure if they're going to. I've heard there's like a patch that's going to add more endgame stuff and whatever, but there's so many things I like about this game. Like it does so many things really well, and I am generally like really really happy with it. It's just as I've reached the end here, it's started this weird split between being either way too easy or annoyingly hard just because of the one shot mechanics, and I'm having a little bit of trouble with loot motivation. So that's what I think about my current status here. I am going to go broke soon buying more stash tabs, so I think I've just got to start clearing some stuff out here that I don't need. But yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. I will be back probably not till Thursday. I will be writing on Forbes as much as possible, but I cannot film videos on vacation. So anyway, yeah, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.